Hey neighbor, let's talk cover crops, specifically cool season cover crops, what you need to be planting in September and October. So what is cover crops? Cover crops we like to plant on plots to achieve a particular outcome, whether it be erosion control or we want to keep nutrients in the cycle, keep them pulled up to the top of the soil level, where we want to try to get some nematode control, where we want to try to cleanse the soil a little bit, add biomass or carbon back to our soil, or simply just plant them for the pollinators. Several different reasons why we want to plant cover crops. Now we have cover crops divided into two different groups, warm season cover crops and cool season cover crops. Of course, the warm season ones, the ones we like to plant in the spring and the summer because they love the heat. Then we got the cool season ones, the ones we're going to be talking about today, that like the cooler weather and can withstand a good bit of cold weather. Some of the ones can even withstand it down to 0. Others would withstand it down into the 20s. So let's talk about some of the individual type cool season cover crops, why you would want to plant them, what's their benefits, and at the end I'm going to give you some of my favorite mixes I like to use. All right, so here we go. Daikon radish. Some people call this tillage radish. This is one of my favorite ones that I plant every year. It makes that long, kind of round type radish that goes way down into the soil and breaks up the soil hard pan. It also does pretty good about scavenging the nutrients and keeping them in the cycle, but its main benefit is to break up the soil. So if you got those real hard soils, that's a good one. And the best thing about it is, in the springtime, when you get ready to get rid of it, you go through there with your tiller or with your hair, and you work it up, it decomposes real quick. It's probably one of the easiest ones to extinguish and to get ready to plant another crop in that same plot quickly. Crimson clover, which is probably my favorite clover. It's the one you normally see on the roadsides. It looks like a strawberry bloom when it blooms. Now this is kind of in the middle of the road for clovers. It's pretty, the pollinators love it. It's just a good all-around type clover. It doesn't put on the most biomass as any of them, and it doesn't attract the most nitrogen as any of them. It is a legume, so it's going to be considered a soil builder. It's going to bring those nodules into the root system. Therefore, we're going to have that nitrogen there that we can reuse. Crimson clover, I dare say it's probably the most popular clover out there people use as a cover crop. Winter rye, now this is the workhorse of all cover crops. Winter rye is probably the least fancy of all of them. It's a pretty simple plant there. We consider it a monocot. It is the cleanser of the soil. So if you got pathogens in your soil and soil diseases, this is the one to use for that. Now it doesn't work on nematodes, but it works great on those soil pathogens in your soil. It's a simple, easy crop to grow. Takes more cold than any of the other cool season cover crops. It'll take it down to 0 or even more. So if you live in one of those cold areas that you know it's going to get real cold, and you want to do a cover crop and you're worried about it during the winter time, winter rye is the one to go with. Kodiak brown mustard. Now this is that spicy mustard we use for nematode control. So if you got a plot in your garden that you got nematode problems with, this is the one you use for that. It's called a biofumigant. So you plant the Kodiak brown mustard. It's a very spicy type mustard that most people don't find very good to eat. So don't plan on eating this mustard here. But if you let it get up pretty good leaf size, and you go in there and hair it or till it and incorporate it into the soil, within 15 minutes, it's going to gas up and it's going to give you some nematode control. It's the only biofumigant out there I know you can use for nematode control. Broadleaf mustard. Now this is one you can use for dual purpose. You can eat it and also use it for a cover crop. Us down in the South, we love our mustard greens. And it does have some benefit for nematode control, not as much as the Kodiak. So if you're wanting a dual purpose to help with the nematodes, but yet you can be able to eat some of it, broadleaf mustard is a good one. Australian winter peas. Now this is a pea that likes cooler type weather here. There again, here we got a legume, so this is a soil builder. It's going to attract that nitrogen in there. It's going to give you a decent amount of biomass, but it's also going to be good for you guys that like to forage your cover crops. This would be a good one here. Australian winter peas. And if you got a deer problem, you may not want to plant this one because the deer absolutely love it. Hairy vetch. This is a legume, but it grows a little bit different than the rest of them. It kind of gets spindly and it'll grow up pretty tall if it's got a trellis. Now hairy vetch is a good one to grow, but I normally like to grow it in a cocktail or another mixture because it needs something to trellis up on. It needs something to grow with that's going to help support it. a good soil builder, good nitrogen fixation there. It actually's got a pretty purple bloom to it, so the pollinators like it as well in early spring when it starts to bloom. But my primary way of using this one here is in a cocktail or mix. Black oaks. Now this is one we just added last year here, and I wanted to add an oak, but after we got doing some research, we realized that black oaks has more foliage than a regular oaks does. So black oaks does all the things that regular oaks does, works good as a cover crops, got a good root system there, works good for soil erosion, and I like it especially well as some of the cocktails I'm going to talk about there at the end. It does work fine as a standalone cover crop. Another thing too is you can use it for forage. So you guys again that like to forage with your cows or your goats or anything, or even your horses, you can forage this cover crop, dual purpose, more foliage so you get more biomass when you get to work it back into the soil, or you can use that foliage for your foraging for your animals. One of the lesser known cover crops is impact forage collards, and this is a particular type of collard that was developed just as a cover crop. Most of the time we don't think about collards as a cover crop, but this is one that works well. Has a very good root system to it, so it's known to break up hard pans. So if you don't want to plant the daikon radish, you can plant this one here. It doesn't work quite as well as breaking up the hard pan, but does a good job of it. Cold tolerant for you guys up north, and also it's good forage for animals. So if you got hard pan situations, but yeah, you want a cover crop for that and to use as forage for animals, impact forage collards is a great one to try. White Dutch clover. Now this clover here didn't make quite as much biomass as the rest of them. It didn't get as tall. The benefit of the white Dutch clover is more heat tolerant than any of the other clovers that we have. So if you want your clover to last longer in the springtime and be able to tolerate more heat, white Dutch is the one. Also, it's pretty tolerant of traffic, so it could take a good bit of abuse there. If you want a late season clover, white Dutch is the one for you. Now, how about Frosty Berseem clover? Now this is one that I've not grown that much. I've grown it a couple of different times. This one right here puts off more foliage or creates more biomass than any of the ones that I've grown. It's got a real nice bloom to it. The pollinators like it, but it's a multi-cut, so you can actually let it grow up, go in there and cut it back, and it'll grow back. It's also cold tolerant. It probably doesn't last as long as the white Dutch because it's not quite as heat tolerant, but if you're going to forage a clover, this is the one for you. Now this is a new one for me this year, my first time planting. I've actually already planted some. Desi Chickpea. Now chickpea is the same thing that they make humus out of, if you know what if you're pronouncing it right there. I'm not too much on my foodie type stuff, but we can use this as a dual purpose. We can actually harvest these peas and we can use it for a cover crop. It makes a great cover crop because it has a deep root system to it. It's indeterminate type growth habit, so it grows up, creates a lot of biomass. We can work it back into the soil. It's fairly cold tolerant. And there again, you can harvest the benefits of the peas off of it, yet you got that vine and that plant that's going to help us with our erosion control, with our hard pan situation, and putting biomass back into the soil. Now here's some of my favorite mixes or cocktails. Rye and daikon radish or tillage radish. They work really well together because you got a monocot and you got a dicot, and you can plant them in there. And sometimes with these radishes, you don't get full soil coverage, and that rye kind of fills in those plots there. You break up the soil pan with the radish, and then with the rye, you help cleanse the soil. Here's one I had great success with last year, black oats and hairy vetch. The black oats come up and give a structure for the vetch to grow on. Works really good. We got the legume there, working with that black oats there, so we got biomass, we got legume soil builder. We work with pollinators because pollinators love that bloom on the hairy vetch. One of my go-to mixes is black oats and hairy vetch. And the last one I think would work really well is black oats and chickpea, Desi Chickpea. You got the black oats and you got the chickpea, so you got the best of both worlds there together. Now one thing I don't like to do on mixes, I normally don't like to mix my clovers. If you're going to plant clovers, try not to mix them and plant them in different areas. I've done that several times and that works good. But mixing those clovers, what happens is if you got a real short one like white Dutch and you got a tall one like Frosty Berseem, it's going to shade it out. So I find that mixing clovers just doesn't work well for me. So when is the best time to plant these cover crops? Okay, if you live in zone 6 or 7, you want to plant them in September. If you live in zone 8 or 9, you want to plant them in October. What triggers good cool season cover crop germination is two things: temperature and length of sunlight in a day. So there you have it. September for you guys on up north, and for us on down south, October. So make sure you get those cover crops out there. You'll enjoy them all winter long, and they're going to give back to you come spring.